Hi there folks, welcome back to another Pygame Python tutorial walkthrough on this pipes or flowy game. In the last couple of videos we've created the board, we've created the start piece, we've created the ending piece. What we're going to do in this video is we're going to create the actual pipes themselves. We're going to create a class for each pipe. Then we will also insert that pipe into the game board. Where we click, which will then also automatically update our list on the side here of what the next piece is. What the next piece is. It's going to be a fairly long, quite a bit of coding to be done to get all these pipes into place. So I hope you enjoy it. As always, hit the like button below if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you can. If you think it's worth your while, I'd appreciate it so much. Right, let's get into the video. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to define our class for the pipes themselves. And for that, I have my code as reference here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to below our end piece, but above our constants section. Excuse me. All right, we're going to define a class. We're going to call it piece. Right, and then we're going to give it an init method. Define init. Okay, so what we need when we initialize each piece, we're going to pass it the actual game class, so that it'll be able to interact with the actual game board itself. We need to know what piece it's going to be. So what piece is this object going to be? In which row it's going to be, in which column it will be on the game board. We also need to know the X offset and the Y offset. Now remember, the game is set up in a grid, in a matrix of rows and columns. However, when you draw it to screen, the screen is not exactly starting on the game screen is not starting at 0, 0. So we need to give the X an offset and the Y offset. So basically, from point 0 on my screen, where does the grid start? Say it starts at X coordinate of 100. Therefore, my row, when I draw the piece to the screen, must already have that 100 included in its X position. Okay, I hope that is understandable, but I'm sure it'll make sense as we go along. All right, so once we've started the method, the init method, we then need to say a couple of attributes. So self.game will be equal to game. No, that's not how you spell game. Apologies. Self.piece will be equal to piece. Self.row is equal to row. Self.column is equal to column. What's going on there? Self.row is equal to row. Self.col is equal to col for column. Okay. And then we've got our self.xpos, which will be equal to my X offset plus self.columns, because the columns work on the X coordinate, the X axis, multiplied by my cell size. Remember, our cell size is there of 64, so each square is 64. Okay, and we do the exact same thing for my cell.ypos. Pos is equal to my Y offset plus self.row multiplied by cell size. Okay. Now, if you remember, the pieces are actually, each of the pipes is actually a dictionary of images. Right? So my left, right, right, left pipe it's the horizontal pipe. My vertical pipes is images. So we need to then create our image for that. And we're going to reference it as self.image. My goodness, self.image will be equal to my pipes dictionary down the bottom here, pipes, right? And it will be the self.piece. When we create the item, we pass what kind of pipe it will be. And this is where we are getting that image for it, right? Dot convert alpha. Okay. Then we go with our self.rect will be equal to self.image.getRect. So we can get the rectangle for our image. So it's easier to draw it to the screen. And we're going to give that rectangle the top left coordinates of our self.xpos, which we've created in our attributes and our self.yPos. Simple, straightforward. All right, so we've got a rectangle for our image, we've got our image, and we've got our rectangle for our image. Okay. Once we've done that, we're going to define a few more methods. We need to define them right now, otherwise they won't run. We'll just give them a pass. We're going to define an update method. And the update method will only come into play once we start working through the actual animations of the game, when the water is flowing through the pipes. So right now we just need to define the method, but we just have to give it a pass, just do a pass in it. Okay. The next thing we need to do, in order to just be able to get these pipes onto the screen, is we're going to create a method. We're just going to draw. We're just going to do a define draw method for now. We're going to pass it the window, so it knows on which window, on which screen it's drawing to, or where it's drawing this image to. And we're just going to say window.blit self.image and self.rect. That's going to be it for creating a very basic layout or very basic template for our pipes. Just excuse me quickly, I just need to blow the nose. Right, apologies for that. The nose was giving me issues. Okay, so we're drawing our piece to the screen. Now we actually need to pull this piece onto our game board. All right, so if we run the program now, nothing's happening because we obviously... just give me a second, wrong screen. Just no, running it again. Oh my goodness, cancel. Stop. There we go. Let's go back to the screen. There we go. So if we run this, obviously we're not calling the piece class anyway, so it doesn't matter. The game should still run just like normal. Okay. The whole point of calling that was to discuss something. All right. So as soon as it starts running, I will start explaining. Okay. So here is our current piece that we're going to be inserting onto the board. So wherever we click on this board, we want that piece to end up on our board. We want this row to then move up, and this piece should then become the next current piece, and then be able to put that onto the board. And every time we click and a new piece comes, we should have a new piece adding onto the list. All right. So in order to do that, we're going to scroll up to our input method in our main game class. It is right at the top. I'm just trying to find it on my code quickly just to make sure I've got it right for you guys. There. Alright, so in our input method, right, underneath, sorry, you scroll up all the way to the main game class. In our input method, underneath the if event.type is equal to Pygame.quit. Below that, we're going to say, well, no, if that event.type is equal to Pygame.mouse button down. So basically, if we click the mouse button again, which is fairly standard. However, we want to then call self.gameplay. We're gonna create a method quickly. So let's go down to our gameplay method. My apologies. In PipeGameplay, we need to go to my PipeGameplay. Right. Underneath draw current next pieces, we're going to insert a new method. We're going to call it define insert new, not insertee, insert new piece. Okay, we need to give it the mouse click, right? So we're going to be giving it the X pause, give it the Y pause, X offset, and the Y offset. Alright, just apologies for a second. I just wanted to check exactly what it was that we were doing. So inside my insert new piece, right? So we need to give it the x pos, the y pos, x offset, and y offset. Okay, I'm jumping around a bit here. I apologize for that. We've created this method, insert new piece. Let's just put in pass for now. Go back up to our gameplay, our main game. Here, self, alright, if fn.top is equal to pygame.mousebutton.down, whatever. Alright, we're going to say if event.button is equal to 1. So if we're clicking the left click button, if we're clicking the left click, if we are clicking the left mouse button, apologies, then we're going to first get our X position and our Y position of our mouse cursor. Pygame.mouse.get pos. Right, so that's the X and Y position of our mouse. We are then going to go and call our self.gameplay insert new piece. Okay, let me just minimize that for ease of use. Insert new piece. Okay, and we're going to pass it the X position, the Y position. We have variables for our X offset and Y offset. If you'll remember from the last few videos, there's our X offset and there's our Y offset. Okay, so we're just going to pass it those two variables. We're going to give it the X offset and Y offset. Okay, it's basically like it's not really it's accessible. Those variables are accessible globally, but we cannot change those variables because it's like a global variable. We're just referencing those variables themselves. All right, so we're going to then call the self.gameplay.insertNewPiece method. So now let's go back to our PipeGameplay. Let's go down to the insertNewPiece that we created where we just wrote pass. And we're going to put in the code to insert a new piece. The very first thing we need to do is check that our X pos and our Y pos is actually within the game grid. To do that, we're going to define a row variable, and we're then going to calculate that our mouse click was within the game grid. So the Y pos minus our Y offset, right? And we're going to divide that by, what's our cell size, eh? Cell size was cell size. By the square, 64. Okay. That's going to give us the row number. Remember, our grid works on from a row range of 0 to whatever. So we've got a Y position being maybe 650. We then need to minus our Y offset off that. So it'll be like, let's say it's 640, right? The grid position. Our Y offset was 64. So then we would have a 584 or 586. And then we'll take that 586 divided by our cell size, would give us which row number we clicked on in which row. And we do the same for column. That's going to be our X pos minus our X offset, floored by our, close that bracket, floored by our cell size. Apologies. Okay, so now we have the row and column. What row column we are working with. Then we're going to say, well, if row is less than 0, meaning that it's to the left of if it's above the board, or if our column is less than 0, meaning it's to the left of the board, or if our row is greater than or equal to the number our self.rows total, or column is greater than or equal to our self.columns. Right? If that's the case, we're just going to return nothing, which means if we click outside the board, nothing happens. The next thing we need to do is we need to check, well, if the square that we're clicking on is not an empty space, nothing should happen. So we're going to say if self.grid row column does not equal that empty space, right? Then we're just going to return as well. So return, nothing happens. In fact, we could actually change that line there a little bit later on, so that if you clicked on a square that already had a tile in it, it would just replace that tile. But you do have to add more code to make sure you're not replacing either the starting piece or the ending piece. But I'll leave that for you guys to do. Let's first finish this code. You come back to it and visit it. And remember, you could include a line, you could make an alteration to this code. I'm just going to put a comment here. Can change this code to allow for replacing current tiles. Remember to make a check for start end pieces. Alright, I didn't do that. I went ahead and just used a method to create and be able to right click on a cell which would delete the pipe that's there. Although I never made a check to make sure you couldn't delete the start or end piece. I wonder. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Sorry, guys. You see, that's why I enjoy coding. You've got all these possibilities in the middle of it. All right. So what we've done that, we're actually going to go with now the cell that we clicked on, the block we've clicked on is valid. So then we want to go, well, self.grid row column, right, is then going to be equal to our self.current piece. Okay. Our self.current piece, which is at the top here. Remember, in our initialization of the game, our self.current piece is one of the items from our self.next pieces. It's one of those popped out of that list. Okay. So in the actual grid, it's now included what that pipe is. Great. Now we actually need to go ahead and still self.next pieces. We still need to create that piece object. Self.next.pieces.append, because it's a list. Right. What we've done on line 181, self.grid row column is equal to self.current piece. So that was the piece that we have. It's now included into our list. So then our self.next pieces list, we then need to add a new item to it. So we're appending choice. Remember our random choice, we imported the random choice from the list of our pipes.keys dictionary. Okay. I've skipped 2 lines. That's what I've just realized. My apologies. Okay. Between line 181, there. Self.grid, row, column, self.current piece. That's why I was getting myself confused here, because I was like, what? Right. Then we're going to go to our self.pieces. Okay. Dictionary that we've created in our init method, which is at the top here. Self.pieces. We've got a dictionary of all the pieces that are on the board already. We've already got a starting piece. We've already got an ending piece. Now we're going to add to our self.pieces. The key is going to be the position on the board, the row and column, right? And this is where we are calling the piece object. So we're going to give it the piece. So for the game, we're actually giving it the gameplay object, which is this class itself. So we're giving it self. Then we are going to pass it self.current piece, which is the piece that we currently have selected. Then we are going to pass it the row, we're going to pass it the column, the X offset, and the Y offset. All right. That would then create the piece. It gets added to our self.pieces dictionary. All right. After that line, we're just going to go down one, enter. We're going to say, okay, our self.current piece, this is where I was getting confused. Our current, so we need a new current piece. Is then going to be our self.next pieces dot pop at 0 index. So the list of current piece, our list of next pieces, we're going to have the very first item popped out of that list and added to our current piece, and then our next pieces will then be appended with a new item. All right, I'm going to go ahead and run this quickly. It should run the whole game. We should be able to click and insert new pipes onto the board. Our current pieces are vertical. If I click here, we have a crash. Line 240, that is in my end. No, that's my pieces. class piece class. In my piece class, self.image is equal to pipes self.piece. I just need to reference the very first image in there, because remember, we are in that pipes code. This load images are returning a list. So I forgot about that. That's why I need to use a reference of 0 to refer to the very first item in that list, which is only one item, but it's still a list. Okay, we run it. I have a left to top. No, what's this? Left up. Yeah, left to top. Let's click it there. It's added to the board. My next piece, my current piece has changed. My list of next pieces has also updated. If I click there, okay, keep your eye on my next pieces. If I click, it moves up fairly automatically, which is pretty cool because there's no animation for it to move up. It just moves up, which is cool. You could include animations to do that. It would just be a lot harder. Not harder, it's just there's a whole other method of dealing with that. Remember, this over here is just a list of images. Oh, excuse me. Oh, goodness. That was a mistake. Right. Apologies for that. Oh. Cool. So we're inserting pieces. Pieces appearing. Our next piece is changing. We're adding them to the game. Things seem to be working just well, as we would like. All right. What we want to do now is we want to be able to do a right click to then remove a piece from the board. Okay, so in order to do that, we're going to go back up to our gameplay, our main game class, and our input method. Where are we? Up at the game class by input. If the event button is equal to 1, right? Let's just double check my code because I might just make another silly mistake. Game input. As we're going along, I'm kind of changing the code from my original code, so that's why I'm double checking, just to make sure I've got the ideas correct. If event dot button is equal to 3, okay. We still want the X pos, we still want the Y pos. Is equal to Pygame dot mouse dot get pos, right? From there, we're still going to go with self dot gameplay. We're going to call it a removePiece method. Okay, and of course we need to pass it again, the X pos, the Y pos, the X offset, and the Y offset. So nothing changes there. We just need to include the removePiece method in our pipe.gameplay. So underneath my insertNewPiece, I'm going to go with define removePiece. Okay, and if you remember, we passed it the X pos, the Y pos, the X offset, and the Y offset. Okay, I think we've got a bit of a duplicate code here, so we could probably simplify it a little bit, and we're going to do it real time. So again, apologies for refactoring while we're in this, while we are busy making the video, but like I say, there might be something to do. So this here, and we're going to be doing that again in the removePiece to make sure that we are within the grid. Okay, so in order to do that, let's just go right above define insertNewPiece. I'm going to go, we're going to call it get, let's go to underscore get row and column. Okay, and then we're going to pass it the X pos, the Y pos, X offset, Y offset. Okay, and we're just going to copy this to there, right? And we're going to say return row column. Yeah, that's all we're going to do. Then we're going to go into our insertNewPiece. We're going to delete that line, and we're going to call self.get row and column, X pos y pos, x offset, y offset, right? And that's going to return us our row and column. Okay. We're going to copy this line from our insertNewPiece method, and we're going to include it in our removePiece. Just like that. All right. The last thing we need to do is, again, we need to check whether it's within the board. If it's within the board. Okay. If it's not, let's just return, nothing happens. And then we're going to go, well, then if self.grid row column is in, oh, we do a check to make sure we're not deleting a start piece. Ah, well done. Okay. Oh, forgot that I had done that. I'm just having a look at something. I'm just thinking, because yeah, I wrote out the entire list of items that it shouldn't be, but we shouldn't have to do it that way. We should be able to just, okay, if self.grid row column is in if it's in, okay, well, let's just do it that way for now because we don't want to waste your time. So if it's an empty space, if it's starting right, if it's start left, start up, start down, no, start down, or ending right, E right, E left. Come on, spell properly. If it's E right, E left, E up, or E down. E down. So basically, if the cell that we've clicked on is an empty space, or if it's right, left, up, down, or the starting pipes or the ending pipes, if the way we've clicked is in that, we must just return. Nah, we can take off the caps lock now. Just return, nothing must happen. If that's not the case, then we're going to go with self.grid row column will then equal to an empty space, and then we need to delete from our self.pieces dictionary the row and column key item. Why are you, oh, not define, we must say delete. So we're deleting, or basically killing that pipe. Remove piece, we've called the remove piece in our main game input method. There we are. Let's run this code quickly and see if we've broken it. So yeah, we've got our pieces. We're gonna just randomly put them in onto the screen. Everything's working. Let's delete. Can we delete that one? Yes, 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 yes. If I delete that and I put a pipe there, nothing. See, it's working. All right. That's fantastic. I think we're going to end this video there. We now know how to insert new pieces onto the board. It's possible. The next few videos are going to start handling things like the water animations and getting the water to flow. There's quite a lot of calculations that we need to go into that, because we do, or quite a few methods we need to calculate for those, because which direction is the water flowing is a main question, like will it be going left to right or right to left and things like that. But that'll be in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was easy enough to follow along. Sorry for jumping around here and there, but I'm sure it made sense in the end. If you like this video, please click the like button. If you feel like following, if you like this content and you want to see more of it, do me a massive favor and hit the subscribe button. Thanks a lot. Cheers for now.